Hello. Today, so before I dive into this real elopement story with Kelsey and RJ and their 2-day helicopter and hiking elopement, oh my God, like, need I even say more? I want to talk about really quick my latest obsession, and that is Lululemon. I know I am like behind the times. This is my first Lululemon experience. I'm wearing a matching sweater and sweatpants set. My mom got me a gift card for my birthday, and your girl cashed that in faster than anything else in my life, and obsessed. I think it's super cute, and I'm snuggly. And so here we are. We are snuggly and talking on the podcast, and I'm super, super, super excited to see you. And I'm like really stoked you're here. I'm going to take you behind the scenes for an exclusive look at what a real elopement really looks like. And this is a real elopement that I photographed. We're diving into the full experience from that first inquiry email to the epic adventure of their wedding day. And these are one of my favorites because you will get to hear how they made their elopement uniquely them, the twists and surprises that, even I didn't see coming, and how it all came together. We're going to be talking about also their package too, like what they booked, how I talked them through the inquiry process, how I got them to book their package, all that sort of, all this marketing, branding stuff, pricing stuff as well. So we're going to be talking about Kelsey and RJ's 2-day helicopter elopement in Montana. So get ready for some real talk on what an elopement day actually looks like. Let's fucking go. Okay, so let's start with the inquiry and the backstory. So they found me on Instagram, and Kelsey and RJ had decided on Montana. They didn't know anything about it, but they wanted to do it because one of the reasons that they really felt Montana spoke to them is they have this bucket list of states that they go through and they check off each state. Montana was a state that they had never been to. And so they're like, obviously, Montana's amazing. Let's just get married there and have this adventure that we've never been there before, and this would be the perfect time to do it. Okay, so the first thing they looked at photo and videos in the states that they were looking for. I think initially, if I remember right, they were like Wyoming, Colorado, Montana. And they started Googling wedding photographers in all these areas. They fell onto the Honeybee Weddings website and they checked out the About Me section, and their words, I have their words right here. They're like, these people get it, which I was super happy to hear. I was like, anytime that a couple is really connecting over your About Me section or even just your website, that's how you know you're doing your branding right. And so that made me feel really good. So again, they initially wanted somewhere that they've never been. Kelsey, and I think this is unique to Kelsey, was that she's known for her entire life, since she was old enough to know, that she wanted to elope. She didn't even want or think about a traditional wedding, which isn't always the case. Most couples, I feel, kind of have this idea of, oh, a wedding is what I should do, and then they get stressed about the wedding planning, and then they go into eloping. Kelsey knew this was always number one. This was choice number one always. She wanted something really intimate. She wanted something that was a pure reflection of she and RJ, and she never really wanted what everyone else wanted. The only thing she knew was that she wanted the mountains, and that she hikes a bunch, they hike a bunch. That's where her heart really lies. And she loves walking to the mountains. She likes dancing on the mountains. And so when she's thinking about where to get married, this was definitely something that they wanted. And why they chose an elopement over a big wedding, they have close family. They have a relatively big family. And they wondered whether everyone was going to feel a certain way when she first mentioned to her family that she wanted to elope. So when the first time she mentioned it to her mom was all in, which I was like, Mom, that is not something that always happens. family being supportive, that is. And so I was like, mom was all in, and her mom didn't want Kelsey to have that pressure of a traditional elopement or of a traditional wedding. And that's the reason she was all in. And I was like, yes, girl. Like, I loved it for Kels and RJ that they had that support system and they didn't have to fight their families over something that they really wanted and something that was like truly them. Kelsey and RJ, when we're talking about like the vibe and their personality, they were definitely planners, but they didn't want to do it themselves, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, Kelsey and RJ, Kelsey clearly had a vision that she wanted. She was decisive. She knew it, but she didn't want to take the time and like the stress and just to put it all together, which, go girl, you go. That's real CEO queen energy right there. I'm with you. They both had super busy lives too. And Kels, being the complete queen that she is, knew she wanted to enjoy the engaged part of her life. She and RJ actually take those monthly trips somewhere in the US that they've never gone before. They do this monthly. And she wanted to keep doing that. I think she knew deep down that if she was trying to plan this thing as well, those trips wouldn't happen. And I wanted her to have those trips too. I wanted her to have her sanity. And so that's why I ended up planning the entire thing for her. So I created a package that was this all-inclusive, very all-inclusive thing. So what we ended up with was 2 days of 16 hours. So they had 16 hours that they could use over 2 days. They could split that however they wanted, but 16 hours. Photography, videography, vows within that video, and of course, all the location scouting stuff. I know Montana and Bozeman like the back of my hand, so obviously I'm helping that out. And then something else that I don't do a whole bunch, but I definitely did for my 2-day experiences was the full planning. So I ended up planning for them hair and makeup. So I reached out to a few vendors. I got their quotes. I sent those quotes to Kels. And then I sent the inspiration for what Kels wanted her hair and makeup to look like to the hair and makeup artist. They got a quote. We got quotes back. Kelsey told me which one she liked the best. And then I planned the entire day with the hair and makeup, that hair and makeup team that she booked. Florist, same. I was like, Kels, you want a boutonniere and a bouquet. That's the most that you need. We found a florist that we liked the best. We submitted our color palette and what we wanted. Sent those quotes to Kels. Got it back. The other thing that was like really fun for me actually was to plan the helicopter. I called the helicopter company in Bozeman and I actually talked to the pilot. I was like, hey, Aaron, his name is Aaron. I was like, hey, Aaron, this is what I want to do. I want to take a couple up and get married. Where? Tell me where this can happen. And we talked through a couple ideas and he sent me photos back and forth. And I was just like, yes, this place. And it ended up being this like really cool canyon sort of thing with the river kind of running through it, and we were like on top of this canyon with the mountains in the background, and I was like, this is 100% what we need. So what I ended up doing, I planned timing, the weather backup plans. I remember there was even like a weight distribution question. So Aaron was like, tell me the weights of all of the individuals and your gear, your photography gear that is going to be in this helicopter because we need to plan for that. And I was like, okay. So the weirdest question I'm asking Kels is like, how much do you and RJ weigh individually? You know what I mean? Like, it was so funny. And then I also ended up planning a limo service for them because I was like, you know what? Like, if you're getting a helicopter ride, let's just go ahead and go like full bore in. And I don't want you to even be driving your own car. I want you to be just chilling, hanging out. So we ended up getting a white stretch limo. And then I arranged the pickup time and the addresses and all the different locations we ended up going. Also arranged to have champagne in the thing and like snacks, like all the stuff. The other one, let's see, what else? Oh, the dinner reservation. The dinner reservation, of course, had to be the most Montana restaurant you can think of. They don't drink, so I had a mocktail champagne toast ready for them when they arrived. And I made sure that their meal was paid for by me in advance. So they didn't have to deal with any of that. That was one of the most high touch elopements I've ever done. I loved every bit of it, mostly because I just really love to spoil them. These are two people that, like, if we lived closer, we'd be besties. I think Kels and I would be like hiking mountains all the time and just like romping and hanging out. So let's talk about the perfect location. Like when we went to choose that, so they narrowed down the state, right? They're like, we want to go in Montana. I was like, great. Their exact words of what they wanted was artsy, authentic, and adventurous. And I'm just going to read it here. We envision a mountaintop hike, a first look, written vows, and a couple's dance on the mountain. Oh my God, like how could you ask for literally anything more? The location for the ceremony itself was going to be where the helicopter could go. So that is really specific. Like it basically ends up having to be on private land, and the helicopter company works with the owner of the private land in order to make that happen. I think possibly a common misconception, I think it was my misconception when I first romped into this helicopter thing, was like, oh, we can land anywhere on a mountain, like holy shit. And no, you cannot. It has to be private land. You have to get specific permissions for it. It has to be a specific grade of can't be on this huge hill because a helicopter has to come in and like land there safely. So it really ended up being pretty narrowed down, if I'm honest, as far as like where the ceremony could be, because there's only so many places that helicopter can go. I got to choose from, I think there were three locations that I really took seriously that Aaron, the helicopter pilot, had sent to me. So on the like micro scale, that was it. As far as like the macro, because we could have gone to Glacier National Park, we could have gone near Yellowstone, we could have gone to all these other places. The reason I chose Bozeman was a few reasons. We wanted to have the helicopter ride, and Bozeman helicopter was one of the best ways I knew how to do that. You can't just go fly a helicopter in a national park. So, that wasn't going to happen anyway. These people are also foodies. Like, they love the food situation. So I knew just off the top, I'm just like, Bozeman is the best place for the food. Those two things like really magically aligned. And then the second day, they wanted to have a hike. And Bozeman is known for their amazing hikes, just really local too. You don't have to go like a long ways. And that was something that they wanted. They didn't want to have to like drive a lot to go to their hike the second day because they'd had this big day the first day. So it really just like checking, like Bozeman was just like checking through all the boxes. That's why we chose it. So as far as when we fast forward to the wedding day itself, oh man, it was really cool. So first me and sweet husband, because husband is the videographer, I taught him everything he knows, and then I edit. So he and we show up at their Airbnb, we catch them getting ready. Something really cool was RJ's suit. RJ had this white on white suit. So it was like a white suit, black tie. It was so cool. Like that thing was fucking amazing. And then Kels brought it with the train of her dress. That thing was like next level. It was so cool. So we get them getting ready and yeah, like getting ready, having some snacks, get them dressed, and then they do their first look. So they do their first look in the backyard of the Airbnb. There's these like really beautiful mountains in the back. I remember it being like really emotional. I saw RJ tearing up, Kels was tearing up, I was tearing up. I don't know what they said in that moment because I always make sure to give them a lot of space. So I'm like crushing it with a 70 to 200 lens and just like letting them get some space. But man, it was clearly like really emotional. And then I put those vows in their video. And oh man, because I mic them, right? Like I mic them before. No matter what. Like no matter what I do with video, whether they want their vows in the video in the package or not, I mic them. So if they decide they want it later, they will have that. I'm a big believer that like it's so important to have your vows because it's kind of like the movie The Hangover, at least for me. Like when my sweet husband was telling me his vows, it was all these beautiful things, right? It was like, oh my God, the most beautiful thing. I couldn't tell you a single word he said. As soon as I was like, you may now kiss, mwah, I couldn't tell you anything. Having a recording of the vows, highly recommend. If you're anything like me and you just like black out during your ceremony. I went full on blackout. So we did the first look, and then we load them up into their kick-ass white stretch limo, go to the airport on the tarmac, and we rendezvous with our helicopter. The helicopter takes off. I ended up having, so the funny thing about this is that because of that weight distribution, this is where it came in. So basically everyone but me was in the back and I had to be in the front. Just, I don't know the exact science of like the weight distribution, but like so I'm just like hanging out in the front with the best view ever. We cruised over cows. We cruised over these like beautiful rivers and farmland. This is a vision of Montana like I had never seen, and I'm like born raised here. I was like, oh my god, this doesn't even look like the Montana I know. It was so fucking cool. So we cruise up. We're probably in the helicopter, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. We get to our place. The couple gets out, and as soon as we get out, Aaron is like right here, the helicopter pilot. He's like, hey, yo, the weather's coming in. We need to rush this. Get them married right now. So I'm like, oh my god. Okay. So we go to the ceremony spot that we choose. It's, again, like overlooking this like river canyon thing. It's so cool. And we get them married. Something funny that happened was the officiant was so funny. Like, it initially started with, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. That's how he starts it. And everyone laughs. It's so funny. And so the officiant was a friend of theirs, which I thought, whenever a friend is the officiant, it always just seems to make it so much better. So that was super fun. But in the back of my mind the whole time was Aaron, the helicopter pilot, being like, you gotta go. There's like bad weather. You gotta go. So I'm like, oh my god. I'm trying to do my best of respecting the moment of which like we are getting married today, and get your cute, sexy, fat asses back on that helicopter as soon as possible because of weather. And we gotta go. I do take some pictures around. I think that's one like thing I wish could have happened, was more pictures up around the ceremony area. We had originally planned for 2.5, 3 hours of time up there, and it ended up getting cut to an hour, or maybe like close to an hour and a half, hour-ish. So we were really strapped for time, which as a creative process and just experience process, like isn't great when you're just like rushing around. I get as like the best pictures that I can around that area. It's not my best. I do wish we had more pictures with the helicopter and all that sort of stuff, because especially not only was that like a huge fun part of like why they chose Montana, like what they wanted, but I wouldn't mind more helicopter elopements. So like the more pictures I have of that, the more I can be like, hey, helicopter elopement. But that just was what it was, right? That was one of those like really big shifts, and that rain, like that storm really changed. So it changed the helicopter time. I had to have a backup location for adventuring and like photos needed. Thank God I have plans A, B, C, and D all the way to Z, because otherwise like I would have been quite stressed. So we end up going to these alternate locations. So we get back in the helicopter, we land, we go back to the tarmac, we land, we load them up to their limo, and then we go to these alternate locations that I knew about that has these beautiful mountains in the background. It gets them to see a little bit of like outside of town of Bozeman and like the Spring Hill mountain, the Spring Hill area, and like the Bridger Mountains in the background. So we do some of that. The mood is amazing. They do have their dance. They have their first dance on the mountains there. And then just the storm comes just like that. I brought umbrellas. They're clear. The rain just, it just comes, and it comes fast. So they walk down this little hill with their umbrellas, load them back into with the limo, and then we end up going to this little like place that has coffee and actually a hairstylist, because her hair got wet. I mean, that rain was like, it was fast, it came quick. So the girl's hair got wet and frizzy. That's what happens. So we actually ran into this hairstylist gal. And I was like, hey, is there any chance that like you have a quick like hair curler that Kels, my bride, can use to redo her hair, rejudge her hair? And the gals at the salon were just like, chef's kiss. They were just so nice. They're like, yeah, come on in, whatever you need. They had a chair for her. They were chatting. It was just like so nice. And then we also did a little caffeine refuel. There was some caffeine upstairs, so we did that. Because of the hair shift, we had to push our dinner reservation back. I'm on the phone with the dinner restaurant and I was just like, hey, can we push it back? And then the mocktail champagne toast that I had arranged previous, I was like, can we push that back? So after the hair stuff, we go to dinner and they have their own dinner. Jake and I had dinner separately. We sat at a different table, just like, give them a moment. They had a cute little like celebratory cake. They blew out the candle. I mean, it was just the cutest thing ever. They're sitting in this little booth and it was just like, God, so fucking cute. So after dinner, I take them to Genuine Ice Cream. It's this like local ice cream place in Bozeman it's delicious. It's amazing. And actually someone who was there, he's very like dad moment, actually bought them their ice cream, which I thought was like the cutest. Obviously I was going to buy I can't sideline a dad who wants to buy their ice cream. It was so cute. So they're sitting, having their own ice cream. And it was so fun. And that's the end of day one. It was so fun. The next day we take them up on their hike. Yep, we do a hike and there's wildflowers. We get to see this really cute, like, secret handshake that Kelsey and RJ have. That was super adorable. The corgis, of course, were adorable. We catch sunset up there. It's so fun. I mean, like, day 2 is just such a fun, like, laid back time because we're just hiking with these little weirdos, and without the dress and the rush, like, you really get to get some really cute, authentic photos. Like, I have them in and amongst the wildflowers. I have them like running his arms and that rom-com moment, and it's so fun. It's so fun. Afterward, like, they said they wanted to move to Montana, and I was like, yeah, come to the dark side. I highly support this message. That's the story of Kelsey and RJ's 2-day helicopter hike elopement. I think one of the takeaways when I'm thinking about it is, like, just do the damn thing. Do the adventure. There's nothing saying you can't have the, like, epic hike you want, and the helicopter, and the dinner, and the ice cream. When I think about they did it all. And they did it all exactly their way. And it was just so perfect. And it was just so fun. So yeah, stay tuned for more real elopement stories. If you want to book elopements like this, be sure to sign up for my elopement coaching program. I have one-on-ones, which is called the Adventure with Us coaching program. My most recent coaching client actually went with me to Ireland, and she photographed an elopement with me that we had in Ireland, and it was really, really fun. She ended up booking her own international elopement because of the help that we did in the coaching stuff, and she's just so wonderful. Have such a kick-ass day. Happy life. I hope you are killing it out there.